COVID-19 has brought to light the many problems that plague the education sector in SA. Ill-prepared, unmotivated and unskilled teachers, vandalism and theft of school infrastructure, and little to no data connectivity for thousands of underprivileged learners to access online learning. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And now the education sector has to navigate the additional challenges that come with COVID-19. With unemployment now at a high, the matric class of 2020 would undoubtedly become part of the 63% youth unemployment statistic. While the academic year has already been disrupted, what is making learning easier for pupils during this time? General Manager at the Primestars, a youth social services organization, Nkosinathi Moshoana, joins us to expand more on this. Nkosinathi, thank you so much for your time. Now, where do you stand in the current education debate that speaks to saving the 2020 academic year or extending it?
Thank you very much, Unathi. Thank you very much for the platform. Firstly, let me say Happy Women's Month to all our ladies out there and to yourselves. It's a very special month for us as a majority black women-owned education organization. We stand behind the GBV fight, and we are proud that the majority of our beneficiaries are young black females.
Fantastic.
Now, in terms of the education debate, we as Primestars and Youth Start Foundation, as the private tutors to public education, we stand on the side of keeping the schools open. We focus on public schools that have access to limited information. And for us, our role is to bridge the gap between the quality of education in private schools and that in public schools, using innovative measures that can spread across the country. And over the last 10 years, we've reached 1 million young people. This year, we're driving a national campaign focused specifically on saving the matric class of 2020, because we understand that they need these skills, these critical math and science skills, being able to access opportunity in the economy in order to not exacerbate inequality and to give them the kind of support they need to be able to survive beyond this crazy virus we find ourselves in. So we're leading a national cause in support, of course, of the Department of Basic Education. The safety of our learners remains paramount. The integrity of our donors is critical. But we understand that the need to help the matric group is now. They've had 11 years of schoolwork. They've unfortunately missed out on about 4 months worth of school this year. And we have an alternative to ensure that they can actually write the exams at the end of the year and come out successful and hopefully access some economic opportunity.
Now, Nkosinathi, let's focus a little bit on your company, what you do as Primestars. Now, you've mentioned it, COVID-19 has really revealed a number of inequalities in the public education system. As a country, and especially businesses like yours, how do we even attempt to close these gaps? What are the practical steps that we can take at this time? Thanks,
Unathi. So, firstly, a statement we use in our office all the time is, how do you eat an elephant in small chunks? The education system is in a critical situation, and you rightfully so show and exhibit that we've seen these huge disparities in the education system. So for us, what we do as an organization is that we facilitate and spearhead public-private partnerships. So we support initiatives of the Department of Basic Education. We bring in schools that are in township communities, rural communities, and we use a multi-platform approach to support these public schools in entrepreneurship, in career guidance, in financial literacy, and this year most specifically in matric math and science. So we use various platforms. Our biggest platform are cinemas across the country. We've been able to use them nationally, and we've been doing a lot of work since the lockdown was announced with these partners to get the cinemas ready to support schools that have the right safety protocols and that we get the right support from in terms of the department and government, as well as our partners. We also have an initiative that extends right into schools, those that do have resources. But as you know, the majority of our public schools don't have halls, adequate classrooms. So the thinking that social distancing can be maximized in schools is one that we've seen from research in the country, that cinemas are a better infrastructure to accommodate learners in. And lastly, of course, it's a limited platform that not many young people can access, but we have made available an online platform that will be running from September, zero rated, of course, to support those young people who within the environment can access learning. So our role is to facilitate public-private partnerships that speak specifically to the needs of our learners on the ground and give information and exposure to content in our public schools to the teachers and the learners to enable them to compete at the same level and not have what we've seen over years and years and years, this gap extending between public schools and private schools. And might I say, it's not the fault of a young person that they are the child of a privileged parent and are able to access private schools. But it's also not the fault of a young person to be living in a township like I did when I grew up and fault them by disadvantaging them and closing their schools simply by where they come from. So we're driving a very, very clear message to say as Primestars, we're calling on business, government, the media, the public sector to join us on our campaign, bring funds to the table, and ensure that our young people in public schools can end the year successfully to make a life for themselves.
Now, as you said, you're driving a really successful campaign, and it seems like it's a solid plan. But you're obviously not going to be touching on every learner, especially those in the public sector that really need your help. Which areas are you currently focused on, and which areas do you think that will need a focus over time, especially when you bring in more of those donors and those funders on the table?
Fantastic question. So we've been blessed to have a national network of teachers, schools, districts support our program. For the last 10 years, we've operated nationally in all 9 provinces, reaching about 90,000 young people a year. Now, with the COVID pandemic, we find ourselves having to accommodate for the provision of PPE, social distancing, less learners in a session, and much less learners participating in one group, meaning it's double the cost for the same reach. So what we've done is in following the guidance of the health department, especially in areas that are less risk when it comes to the COVID pandemic, we've made plans to access learners in those areas. Of course, these are schools that are brought to us. We understand the need from department reports as well as from our donors as well. So in terms of the major metros, we are accessing those areas to bring young people into some of our cinemas. But in areas that are hotspots, that have more challenges when it comes to the COVID pandemic, we're looking at how we can mitigate face-to-face by bringing in an online support and the supply of resources. What we are trying to do is speak to the problem as it is. This is an extraordinary time we find ourselves in, and we fundamentally believe it needs extraordinary responses. So in the communities that are not heavily impacted, we're able to do face-to-face because we understand that the need at the moment speaks to a lack of connectivity, a lack of resources, lack of data, lack of skills of using digital skills. So we've got to provide some face-to-face. And in the other provinces that are more detrimental and that are more prone to the COVID pandemic, we're looking at more remote teaching. So it's a multi-platform approach to speak to the different areas. And like you said, there are a number of matriculants. There's about nearly 800,000 matriculants. At least half of those are doing math and science. So our program currently has about 30,000 seats available nationally. And with more funders, with more donors, we can open up to 100,000 seats, 200,000 seats. And that's why we're here looking for more partners so we can support more young people who need our program.
Now, we definitely know that COVID-19 has presented itself with a new way of doing business. You've obviously been operating even before COVID-19 hit. Do you find that there's more reception now that we are in a pandemic from businesses? Are they more receptive to you? Are they willing to help you? Where are you finding the most difficulty? And how can South Africans galvanize to help and support you?
I'd say that we are finding a new equilibrium. And I say that because we've had some gains and we've had some losses. For the most part, organizations want to get involved and would love to get involved, but find themselves in a position where they look at their cash reserves and think that it's best that they channel those funds to saving jobs. On the other side, we've got a lot of organizations who've obviously wanted to partake as an active citizen in the Solidarity Fund, which has been an incredible initiative. And some of their funds are going towards food parcels and the likes. But for us, we're driving the kind of messaging that says we've got to speak to the need right now, but we've also got to be sustainable. So education is sustainable. It sees us through the pandemic. So we've had some incredible companies come to the table, like your Sanlams, your Cell Cs, your Omnia, your Bidvest, your Cesria, who've said, no matter what the case is at the moment, they've come on board to support us in this program. And we've had other companies, unfortunately, who've had to fall off from our programs for the interim as they look at new ways to work. We ourselves as an organization have had to also relook how we work. We've had to relook how we implement and how we maintain our role as being the leading educator and the leading tutor when it comes to public education.
Now,
so it has been difficult.
We're running out of time, and I want to squeeze in.
We've just got to bring in more companies who want to see the country go forward.
We're running out of time, and I want to squeeze in this last and final question. Now, you've mentioned unemployment. The class of 2020 is faced with the realistic fear of adding to the 63% of youth unemployment in the country. You've mentioned that you touch about 90,000 people across the country. There's a space for 30,000 more. Those matriculants sitting at home who don't want to be a part of the statistic, who want your help and where you can provide it virtually and where they have access. What can you say to them today to basically, make sure that they don't fall in line with the statistics that we've just mentioned earlier, but also where their parents and with your support, they can really do something in this time of uncertainty to make sure that they get into those universities, but also get into the employment of the country?
Fantastic question. Absolutely. The unemployment rate is, of course, increasing. The youth unemployment rate is in crisis. So for us, we encourage young people to get into the skills that are going to be relevant in the future. Hence our emphasis on maths and science, especially maths and science for young girls as well. So for the young people, I would say that they should not lose hope, that there are people out there who are willing to support them and who want to help them. And for those who want to get in touch with us, they should get onto our Facebook platform, which is Primestars, or get onto our website, which is primestars.coza. They could also get onto our foundation website, which is youthstartfoundation.coza. Get in touch with us, and we will assist in whichever way possible. The kind of economic ecosystem, rather, that we have are people who want to assist. So you've got to get the right skills in order to access opportunity, and we'd love to give some opportunity to those young people. And to other partners who want to get involved, contact us on the same platform. The youth unemployment rate will only be solved by upskilling young people's skills of the future and creating a culture and mindset of entrepreneurship so that our young people are able to become self-sustaining and not depend on the government. That's our drive. We want to support the government in moving the country forward. True economic empowerment lies in the investment in education.
Fantastic.
And that's our focus.
Fantastic. Well done. Nkosinathi, good luck to you. Thank you so much for your time. General Manager at Primestars, a youth social service organization. Nkosinathi Moshoana there for us.